following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Today's road trip will give us helpful hints on how to keep our holiday and winter indoor plants healthy. We had the pleasure of visiting a greenhouse brimming with what seemed every plant imaginable. Around every corner was a rainbow of cactus, gorgeous blooming orchids, and velvet textured African violets. Learning from their knowledgeable staff will even dispel the myth about the epitome of Christmas plants, the poinsettia. Then on to the lavishly decorated holiday showrooms to discover an endless array of ornaments. My motto: if you can't find it in here, they just don't make it. So sit back and enjoy today's road trip beyond the garden gate. Hello, I'm Linda Temporino. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Garden Gate. But we are way beyond the garden gate today. We're out in Bedford at Bedford Fields, and we're with Marie here, who works in the greenhouse, and she's going to walk around with us and show us some Christmas plants and some winter plants. Well, thanks, Marie, for joining us, and thank you so much for having us come out.
It's my pleasure.
Oh.
I'm glad you could make it.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's a lot warmer in here than it is out there right now. It's perfect.
I'm so glad we're not outside taping. This time last year we were out at a Christmas tree farm.
Oh, wow.
On a windy day, and it was cold.
It's blustery.
So when I told the producer that we were going to be in a greenhouse, she said, "Oh, sure beats last year."
That's right. It sure does. So. It's really nice in here. It may get a little noisy from time to time because our fans are going on. We've got just enough sun today that we're getting some nice thermal heat here, and it's very pleasant. Good place to be here today.
Well, I would like to dispel the myth of the poinsettia. This is not a poisonous plant, is it?
No, it's not. Ohio State University, if I get the university right, I believe it was them who did a study on it to just kind of dispel the notion, or if in fact any part of the plant was toxic, is it the bracts or is it the flowers? You know, and with that they did do some extensive research and found that although ingesting large amounts of anything green or anything you're not accustomed to eating could make you sick, it can be a stomach irritant or make you nauseous, it's not considered a poisonous plant. In fact, my cats had eaten a very large one that I had bought for a very special event around the holidays, and I left it on the coffee table for one night. The next morning they had eaten about half of it. Neither of them had any reaction to it at all.
That's good to know.
I would always recommend checking with your pediatrician and your veterinarian about the toxicity level, but you can Google it, and most of the information on it now is that it's not toxic.
There's nothing you can't find on
That's
Googling.
right, absolutely.
And this is actually the flower in here in the center.
The flower is the tiny little bud. It will open. It does have like a tiny little bit of pollen on an older plant. It's a good way to select a plant if you're buying one in a grocery store or here at the pharmacy, because any plant that's been around for a little while will have this tiny little green flower wide open, and you'll be able to see the yellow and you'll be able to see the pollen indicating that the plant has been around for a little while. That is the actual flower. Once the flower passes, the whole plant will start to go not dormant, but it should be cut back to give it renewed, to renew it for the season.
And what kind of light will this need in a private home?
Actually, the poinsettia is one of the plants that does prefer warmer temperatures and can take full light or direct sunlight for several hours of the day. It does need to be kept evenly moist. The poinsettia will wilt whether it's overwatered or underwatered, and once it starts to wilt or lose those leaves, it doesn't recover well at all. So you really want to make sure you check it regularly, put it where you're going to see it on a regular basis. It can do warmth, a warmer area than some of our other holiday plants who prefer to have it on the cool side. But it will stay in flower probably until March, or the bracts will stay in color probably until about March. And at that point you can decide whether you're going to keep it and try to get it to flower again next year, or, you know, unfortunately part with it. But it's a lovely plant. It is very brittle, and the sap in it can give you a skin irritation. But other than that, it's a lovely plant and very easy to care for.
And I love the way it complements all these beautiful variegated plants down here. So you could really have a nice windowscape.
Oh, it comes in beautiful colors now. The poinsettia is not, although the traditional red is still our best seller, there are so many beautiful colors that are out now that it's kind of hard to not have more than one.
I like the pink and white ones together.
The pink and white one is beautiful.
They're lovely.
Yep, it's beautiful.
But these are, now what is this here?
That's a winter frosty fern. Winter frosty fern is interesting. We don't see it just in the winter, and it has the fact that, you know, the leaf tips are white really doesn't have anything to do with Christmas or the seasons. But because of its coloration, it's very popular this time of the year. It acts like a typical fern. It does want to be kept evenly moist, but not wet. And don't trim it. It doesn't really like to be trimmed. If you do it very moderately.
Well, I think you'd have to go further down, wouldn't you? Further down the
Well,
stem?
yeah. If the leaf tips start to discolor, some people want to go ahead and give it a haircut, and it's really not recommended. It can be a very slow grower. Unfortunately, it is only hardy to, I think, like zone 6, so it won't do well outside for us. But zone 6 isn't that far away, so you know, you can get it and probably winter it over in a very cool room and do just fine with it.
And this looks like a holly.
It is a holly. It's actually a false holly. This is an osmanthus. This particular variety of osmanthus is Osmanthus goshiki. And goshiki, I've been told, means 5 colors in Japanese. The Japanese like anything with 5. Apparently, it's a lucky number. You know, 5 leaves, 5 colors, anything like that. It is a very, very slow growing plant, and grows up to, is hardy from zones 9 to about zone 6. So we're not far from it. Although I've been told that there is a nursery in Concord, New Hampshire that does grow it, or does have it available for outdoor plantings. It's got to be heavily mulched and stuff. It would be kind of a, you know, very marginal, I would think, in this area.
Well, if they don't get too big, I mean, you could...
Very slow growing.
Very slow growing. If it's not too big, there's no reason why you couldn't dig it up, repot it, and bring it in for the winter.
Exactly. I'm actually considering a few of these as potted plants that I could move into maybe an unheated garage.
Beautiful in a window box.
But yes, it would. It would. So it's a lovely plant. Its mature size is like a 3 by 6 foot ball, or a 3 to 6 foot ball.
Very pretty.
But it's deer resistant, and not very many pests are attracted to it. So it can grow, it likes slightly acid soil if you do end up putting one outside and want to protect it, or put it in a slightly larger pot, but it's a lovely plant.
It is. Just beautiful.
Yep. I like them.
Well, I saw a few of my favorite beauties. Can we take a walk around the corner?
Be happy
and
to.
See what's there.
Absolutely.
Well, we've moved over just a few feet. I mean, I can't move too far, then I'm afraid we're going to miss something. Everything is so beautiful. But this is a Christmas cactus.
Yep, as I go.
And it's just the little teeny tiny buds.
Yes.
And that's how they start out.
Yep.
And this is what they wind up looking like. Oh,
Yeah, that's a large one.
oh, that's a real big one, isn't it? Oh, isn't that magnificent?
Yeah, it's a lovely plant. They're a lot of fun. They're easy keepers. They tend to like it a little bit on the cool side. They tend to like your room temperature a little on the cool side. If you don't have it cool enough for them, they actually won't go into bud. There were a lot of people know that you have to put them in the darkness if you want them to begin budding again and starting to cycle several weeks before Christmas. But it isn't just the dark that's going to trip them to start budding. You also have to lower the temperature considerably. And many people's homes, or people who heat really early, like some of the seniors, or if you have it in a very, very warm room like the kitchen, the temperature is actually too warm for it to set bud. The plant will do fine, but it probably will have a hard time with budding. And once it has set bud, don't move it from room to room just because it's pretty and you want to see it better. Once it starts to bud, put it where you're going to appreciate it the most while it's in flower. And don't even turn it for light, because the flowers and buds will actually try to turn for the light, and that weakens them. So a lot of times, unfortunately, you buy one that's beautiful in a greenhouse or what have you, get given one as a gift, but because it's moved locations, it's going to try to find the sunniest spot, and if it isn't just right and the buds have to turn, sometimes you get a bud dropping on it. So they get that trigger that the nights are cool and the days are a little bit shorter and there isn't any artificial light coming into the room, and they flower profusely. So just try to remember that there are a couple of trips on them to get them to flower.
Now I notice there's a few succulents down there. Can we take a peek at those?
Absolutely.
Now this is a beautiful spot of color. Not Christmassy, but autumny.
Yep, beautiful any time of the year actually. They're even great in the spring, and during the winter time or in the summertime, it's kind of fun to put a sign here that says "Some like it hot."
Cute.
But they do very well in these windows, and we actually get to have flowers on some of the cactuses that I never saw that happen till I started working here. But it's a fun spot.
The aloe is magnificent. And it's so medicinal, isn't it? I mean, it really does.
It is a medicinal.
Fix wounds very quickly.
Yeah, it's there's even a type of aloe that is tequila, so the blue agave, and so it's kind of a fun plant. They can be a very difficult table to work around, as you can well imagine, but they're easy to grow plants. For the most part, the kids like coming in here and getting especially the little grafted cactuses here. The sad news about grafted cactuses, though, is that they, because they're grafted, they don't really get to grow. So they stay this size for a while, and then as soon as Mother Nature wants them to put on a little bit of growth, something happens. The graft either falls apart, or and the rest of the cactus is fine. But they're a fun plant to play with and give you a little bit of sunshine. If you've got a little kitchen windowsill or something, they're ideal. And like I said, the children love them.
What is that the flower, or is that part of the actual plant?
That's part of the actual plant, but it is a grafted.
And how
they
long?
call them moon cactuses sometimes.
How long will that stay in bloom like that?
This is actually not in bloom, it's its color.
It's just
It's
color.
its color, but the bloom is beautiful. We have flowers on some of these cactuses that come up almost overnight and just pop open, and a lot of them are yellows and pinks, and some of them are actually quite large, and they really kind of take you by surprise. But very enjoyable, kind of a fun hobby. Some people collect them. We've got a varied assortment. The fuzzy one that looks like he's got a beard is an old man cactus.
Little man cactus.
So the old man cactus is very appropriately named. And putting a nice patio like that in a really hot spot, a really sunny spot, is really tremendous.
Well, I hear a waterfall back here.
Got a lot of those in here.
Well, we're going to go around the corner again and check out some of the water noise.
Move over a little further, right?
Yeah. Well, on our walk around the last corner, we came across this beautiful shade of red. It's like a burgundy. And it's just lovely, and you can really see the flower with this color.
Yep, the flower on this one is really starting to open up as well. I think some of the reds and burgundies do color up a little bit faster than the whites do. And some of the whites they never get to be a true white, but they get to be kind of a champagne, and a lot of them are still sort of green right now. But this one does have lovely flowers starting to show.
Okay, let's put this baby back on its pedestal.
It's a good size one too.
And it is nice and healthy. So, and we can still hear that water.
I've got several fountains in here. I just love them.
Okay. So let's walk around.
Sure.
This would be great indoors in the winter.
Isn't it awesome?
It's wonderful.
I know.
If you have a nice sunroom,
Yep.
you can hear that water sprinkling.
And I never get tired of it.
No.
I just never get tired of it. I could listen to them all day. When they're not going, you feel like there's something wrong.
Something's missing.
Something's missing. Yeah, it's like it's too quiet. But I love
agree.
And we've actually had hummingbirds and other birds fly into the building, and I have no doubt
It's the
that
sound.
the sound draws them a
Absolutely.
lot. Otherwise, it's not as if they could see the flowers from outside, but I think the sound of the water does bring them in.
Brings them through.
Yep.
Well, we're coming slowly up to my favorite
Oh,
house
yeah,
plant.
the Phalaenopsis and the orchids.
Well, this is absolutely my favorite house plant, and
Is it really?
It is.
You're
And-
always up for a challenge then.
Well, I don't always get them to bloom, but I have friends that can, so I buy them and I bring them home and I enjoy them.
And you share them.
And then I share them with someone who really knows what to do with them.
And do they come back sometimes?
Sometimes.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yep.
So-
That's actually, I shouldn't have criticized you as being up for a challenge, because the Phalaenopsis is one of the easiest of the orchids. It's a great plant, you know, to just give a little bit of cheer to a coffee table or a kitchen table, even a bedroom. I love them in the bedroom, I really do. The flowers last so long. Some of the hybrid orchids actually have a fragrance to them, but the flowers last so long, and I have to say that, like yourself, when we get a shipment in, I am so hard pressed not to buy at least 2 or 3 out of every box. It's a habit I've been trying to break because I'm running out of room too, but they are lovely plants.
If you went and bought cut flowers, you'd spend $35, $40,
And they won't last.
they're gone in a week.
That's right.
So if you buy 2 or 3, they'll last you for months.
They do. They do. The trick is to just know how much light to give them, and to give them, have a little bit of patience with them. Some of them will flower almost continuously, but then that takes a lot of life out of the plant. As you can well imagine, it's like putting on your best show without a vacation ever. So allow them to flower, and then allow them to give them a rest. Cut back on the watering and the fertilizing until you see a little bit of new growth on them, and they're telling you that they're ready. Some of them will flower 2 or 3 times a year. Some of them, you know, won't for quite some time. But if the leaves are in good shape, you know, they're looking good, and your medium looks pretty good and doesn't seem to have a lot of salts or mineral buildups and stuff in it, just give them a chance. And they're easy to tuck in among other plants, as we've done here. Even if they weren't in flower, you can put them in among other plants that are a little bit taller, just like you would in your own garden. And you know, they'll reward you eventually. But they're,
Well, I stick to just the Phalaenopsis because I find that if you stick to one type, you just need one fertilizer. You don't have to be moving them. This one needs this much light. This
That's
one
right.
needs. So I keep them just the Phalaenopsis, and it's just works. It works for me.
so we've also got the little tiny ones.
Oh my gosh, they're so sweet.
Do you have any of these yet?
No, I do not.
Yeah, you got to give it a shot. They really are miniature Phalaenopsis, not a small plant. It is a mini, same culture as its larger brothers and sisters, but just absolutely lovely. And these things stay in flower for months. They're a joy to have for a tiny place.
Okay, there's another flower plant in bloom down here, which gives a lot of winter color to your sunroom or to your living room, and it's the African violet.
Oh,
You've got a wonderful
that's
selection.
an oldie but goodie.
Absolutely. Now these are not your typical grandmother's African violets.
Grandmother would have loved African violets like that.
Yes, but they were never this beautiful.
No, they are beautiful.
Oh.
There's so many colors and everything available now that people really do start collections of them.
And look at
One
this.
is never enough.
It's got the white on the edge.
Yep.
Like a lace.
Yep, it's ruffled. There's dual tones. They even have one now that's kind of a yellow color. which I thought I would never see in my lifetime as a yellow African violet, but
And you have a mini too.
true miniature
gosh,
African
that's
violets,
so sweet.
tiny, tiny leaves, and you know, just for the right spot. Easy care plants. Most people end up killing them by overwatering them, but once you learn how to water, they're an easy plant to care
You water
for.
them from the bottom?
Always water them from the bottom, never
Put 'em in
water
a
from the
sink?
top. You can put them in a sink, put them in a bowl. We tend to use a large container here and water, just soak several at a time until the soil feels wet on the top. Only water them when they're slightly dry, but otherwise they do get crown rot. Try to avoid getting water on their leaves because cold water on their leaves will spot the leaves. So we don't want that either. They're relatively fast growing and they like being pot bound. As we say, they like tight shoes.
Yeah.
They like tight shoes. They tend to flower better when they're pot bound. If you get it home, the first thing and it's in flower now, don't repot it right away. Give it a chance to really grow. Sometimes they subdivide in the pot, and that's a good time to separate them and you know, kind of propagate them that way, or just leave them together and go to the next size up pot. But easy plants.
And another beautiful winter plant is the cyclamen.
The cyclamen, and I'm glad you called it a winter plant and not so much a house plant. It is absolutely gorgeous when it's in flower. They remind me of little birds, the way they
They remind me of
just,
butterflies.
yeah, butterflies. I mean, the colors are spectacular. I do believe there are some bicolors of these as well, although I don't happen to have any right now. But they are a beautiful plant, and it's not. It is, you know, technically a cool season plant. Doesn't like it warm at all. Likes to be kept very much on the cool side. After it flowers, shortly after it flowers, it will actually start to lose its leaves. The leaves will start wilting, they turn yellow, and at that point, don't feel that you've done something horribly bad to it and that you've killed it. You haven't, but this is one plant that really needs a dormant period. So start to cut back on your watering a little bit. The leaves will, you know, continue to wilt. Pluck them off only after they're dead. You want to leave the leaves on the plant as long as you can, so that a lot of that energy goes, and the sugars and everything in the leaves go back into the corm. The corm should always be a few, you know, about a third to half of it maybe out of the ground.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it doesn't
So
rot.
you don't bury it.
Don't bury it. If you repot it, make sure that you put it at the same exact level that it was previously. It does enjoy being repotted once in the spring, usually around May, and go just to the next size up. But it will come back. It will eventually, you know, give you new leaves, and after a short period of darkness and cool temperatures, it will go back into flower for you, but it is a lovely plant.
Now I'd like to go inside. We have some beautiful Christmas trees to
There's
check out.
all kinds of wonderful stuff in the store. It's a great place to work. There's something here for everyone, from bird feeders to the wonderful Christmas plants. We have a custom decorating table where we'll decorate your wreaths for you, custom garland, mailbox toppers, kissing balls, a good selection of ribbon. So
That's
everything
wonderful.
for the home for the holidays.
Now, I'm getting anxious to get in there.
All right, let's go.
Well, now we've moved over into a different section of Bedford Fields, and we are in Winter Wonderland. This is so beautiful. And this is Donna. She's the designer of this gorgeous, gorgeous area. Nice to meet you, Donna.
Nice to meet you too.
I love your work.
Oh,
It's just magnificent.
It is so fun. We have lots of elves that come in at nighttime to do all
really?
this. Yes.
Yeah.
And this was the Winter Wonderland thought here with the
It's just
snowflakes
beautiful.
and frosted trees that twinkle and glitter, and the snow and the little ornaments, which are very vintage looking. It's just really fun, and I enjoy doing it.
What are these snowflakes made out of?
They are sparkles, and they're made of a plastic, and they're dimensional.
Could they go outside?
They can go outside and they can go inside. You can actually display them on a candlestick I have on the table here. So you can put them on the candlestick and step them up and do an
I
arrangement
think
with
they'd
them.
be pretty in a like a weeping crab.
Oh God, yeah,
With
absolutely.
lights and those would
yes.
be beautiful.
Just use them outside, they're beautiful. You can absolutely use them, and I actually have more up front that you can use outside, which is a styrofoam.
Well, we have some beautiful trees down here, and I'd like to take a walk and take a peek.
Sure, let's go do that.
Well, we've moved over to tree number 1 out of how many do you have in your bed? 10?
Yeah, about 10 of them.
And
yes.
you did all the decorations.
Yes, I did. It was fun. Like I said, the elves come in at night. This is one of my favorite. It's the vintage tree. If you look at it, we have like Mercury Santas, and we have little globes which have scenes inside of them. And we have like these brush trees, they call them, and it's got a lot of frosting going on, but it's my favorite because I love the little vintage pieces in it.
Beautiful. And this is one of my favorites.
Yes, it is. It's the little crystal angels.
Oh, they're so adorable.
Yes, they are very pretty.
Yeah.
And they shine with the Christmas
And it
lights.
picks up all the
Yes,
lights.
yes
Yeah.
it does.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, the last one. We saved the best for last.
You want the frosted tree?
We want the big frosted tree. This is a beauty.
Yes.
You certainly outdid yourself.
It's just having fun with it. It's a beautiful white frosted tree, balsam tree, actually artificial. And as you can see on the top, we put some white twigs up there and bird houses, and we actually have some wonderful poinsettias in white. It's one of my favorite. It really is. Yes, with some little berries. You know, everybody goes, how do you do this? You just have fun. Just throw things in there, ribbon, garland, whatever, bird houses. Big pieces are nice in the tree.
That's what's amazing me. You've got these big pieces in here.
Yeah, and it really helps it out, you know. You got the snowflake right there, poinsettia, Merry Christmas sign. It's just have fun, just enjoy it.
We're off to a good start after being in here for the holidays. I can't wait to go home and pull my tree out of the box and
Yeah.
start putting it up.
Oh, and you will have fun now, because now you're going to have ideas about
Oh,
little
yeah,
pieces and big pieces
absolutely.
in there.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
but like,
Thank you so much,
you're
Donna.
welcome.
It's been a
And-
great deal of fun.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
And Marie, thank you as well. Come on over and say goodbye. Wow, this has been a great day.
was a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, everyone at Bedford Fields. I think it's going to be a really fantastic show, and I hope the people at home really enjoy it. Take care. Bye bye.
I do too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you enjoyed all this beauty, and too bad you weren't here. You could smell all the fresh flowers and fresh greens. It was a wonderful day. But they also have a second facility in Amherst on Route 101A, formerly Ponema Farms. So if it's too far for you to come out here, go out to the one on 101A, but it's worth the trip just to see the beauty. So we wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and come see us again next year.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.